Hey, it's Heidi. And as a life coach, I'm sure you can imagine, I get people who come to me who want to be a better version of themselves, take their lives to the next level, or work out some problems that they're having. And ultimately, what I think it boils down to is that we all want to learn how to love ourselves a little bit more, have more self confidence, and have more esteem to actually go after the things we want or fix the things that aren't working in our lives. And I always talk about there's two paths to really increasing your self love and increasing your self esteem and your ability to make things happen. One is the path of self discipline, and that's the path that we're most familiar with. Like, what do I need to do to kick my own ass? What do I need to do in order to be better or change or fix myself or fix that person that is not doing what I want them to do? And the other path, there's two paths, the other path is self acceptance, self awareness, self acceptance, knowing the things about me that are just my nature and things that I need to embrace about myself or another human being instead of keep trying to change all the time or fix. The wisdom in life is knowing which path to walk when. Which path do I need to take? And that can be a really complex question for a lot of people, especially if your nature is to be sensitive and that's something about you that the world doesn't value, or your nature is to be a procrastinator and that doesn't help you kind of pull the trigger on things, or your nature is to be introverted and you need to be more extroverted in the world if you feel like you're going to get things done. Not necessarily the case. I know for me, a perfect example of something that I wasn't accepting in my nature and I was trying to discipline myself out of was my sensitivity. I was born just a highly sensitive person, not just in the way where like smells would bother me or sounds would bother me or people chewing would bother me. That's a legit thing. Doug hates, my husband hates to go to the movies with me because if somebody heaven forbid like starts their chewing behind me, I'm going to be the person that goes, gives them the stink eye, looks at them funny, and it like makes them think about what they're doing and embarrasses them. But so for me, I was always trying to like squash my sensitivity or trying to desensitize myself. Actually, addiction is a lame attempt to deal with people's sensitivity sometimes, to squash it or control it. And so I was always trying to toughen up, maybe cry a little bit less, have people bother me a little bit less. But the reality is, it really bothered me so much because I wasn't learning how to embrace and work with my sensitivity, my nature. And as a result of always trying to overcome it, I always felt less than, not enough. And so there's really a lot to be said for learning what to embrace in yourself. In fact, procrastination is another perfect example. I am a procrastinator, right? Like a lot of people are. I could beat myself up and say, God, I should be further down the road. I should be like producing more or doing more. But then again, if I embrace my nature, and my nature is to create collapse, inspiration, no inspiration, get things done, get nothing done. And then I could like look at that and say, well, is that really my nature? Well, my nature reflects in nature itself. So I could look outside of nature itself and say, is the world built that way? And in fact, it is built that way. There's a time for creation. There's a time for rest. The tide comes in, the tide goes out. There's always a season of everything. There's a season to work, a season to rest, a season to create, a season to reflect. And if I, instead of trying to push myself and hammer myself into being somebody that I'm not, embrace my nature, then I can fully engage in how my life and the ease and flow of my life. Instead of like swimming upstream all the time, I can learn how to go with the flow. So in that time of creativity, I can really capture it and make more out of it. For example, if I'm feeling particularly creative one day, I might do a batch of videos in one day, not just like do one and then hope the inspiration strikes again soon, right? When inspiration comes, we got to jump on the opportunity. Now, speaking of accepting your nature, one of the things that I teach that I think is most effective is is accepting other people's nature too. So not just your own, because if you can accept your own nature, you're one step closer to accepting other people's, right? But when you accept other people's, you stop looking at somebody and expecting them to be other than somebody than who they are. The boyfriend that doesn't call you back and you think, well, that's not right. You're in the righteousness, but really you should be in his nature. Well, that's the reality of how he is and who he is. And then you go, Do I want to experience his nature? Not do I want to change his nature? Do I want to experience his nature? You stop trying to change hurricanes and decide, how do I want to participate in them, or do I want to participate in them? So the step one in really becoming the happiest version of you is first understanding your nature. Sitting down with somebody and saying, because I'm going to tell you something, most of us are not who we really are, we're who we've needed to be. We're fighting our nature. So you're either going to fight your own nature or fight other people's expectations of who you're supposed to be, right? Or you're just going to embrace your nature and educate people on who you are and free them from their expectations of who you're supposed to be. So that's what I like to do. I like to sit with people and get to know them and understand their nature and then help them work within who they are instead of trying to change you into somebody that you're not. It's like, well, let's figure out what the best version of you is and work with the things that you don't like about yourself so that you can learn how to embrace them and work within them instead of constantly trying to swim upstream. It's tiring, right? So if you're interested in that and learning more about your nature and how to work within that, please reach out to me at lovecoachheidi.com or HeidiRain.com and we can talk about how to understand your nature there. All right, I look forward to seeing you in another video. Until next time, take excellent care. Bye-bye.